You're tuned into Dynamic Advancement, the foremost authority for cyber workforce development. Now, today, I had to tag in JJ, aka the Cyber Coach, because we're covering a topic that requires his expertise and background as a data specialist. Let's dig in.
Following up with an article that I know you and I have looked at and discussed, where it mentions that AMD, which is one of the in the PC and server industry, AMD is a chip maker. As you know, there are some household names like Intel. I think Intel's a household name.
It's all about them Pentiums, baby.
Right.
Straight nerd joke for all them nerds out there.
Pentium 2. Yes. You know, back in my, when I used to put PCs together, coincidentally, I always chose AMD motherboards.
Really?
Yes. I always chose AMD processors. I can't tell you why.
Were you a gamer?
I was not. I was not a gamer. But I just, obviously being a nerd, I was always fascinated with being able to control my own components on my PC. So we're talking the NVIDIAs, the graphics cards and stuff like that, and all the various, the memory, just being able to put it together, knowing that I hand selected the components to be able to build a PC.
Nice. And that's what I remember AMD for. I know the gamers that I worked with, when they were building their rigs, they always had AMDs for the because they wanted to be able to overclock.
Yes,
the processors for what they were doing. So I've always that always was just imprinted in my brain that the gamers use AMD so they could overclock those processors.
Yeah, I mean, obviously you definitely can, but as you said, it just kind of seems like AMD processors were the go-to processors for gamers.
For gamers, yeah.
But coincidentally, I never played.
Interesting.
I never played.
You're the first non-gamer that I've met that actually admitted that, at least.
Yeah. Yep. I just gravitated towards AMD processors. So
nice. Nice. Yeah, man. I mean, it was I got fascinating when we saw this article, right? The AMD shares rise as chip demand from data centers, cushions, PC slowdowns. So again, I'm gonna let you drive most of this because you are our resident data specialist. Go ahead and bring us in on what they're talking about in this article.
The article basically mentions that there has been a PC demand slowdown. And so obviously when we're talking business, in the chip maker business, there's market share. And so there is the PC market share when it comes to chip makers, and then there's the server side. And so this is where it mentions that AMD has grabbed more market share on the server side. Right.
Okay.
More in particular, the servers that power data centers, right?
There's those data centers again.
Yes, the data centers. So speaking my language there, right?
Yep.
Yeah, so the AMD making a push, and really when you do your research, there's only two engines, if you will, that do power servers, and that's Intel and AMD.
Yeah.
But it looks like AMD has definitely made a push.
They on the come up.
They're on the come up.
AMD's on the come up in that data center world, baby.
Yes. Yes, they have. And so from a business standpoint, it just mentions that within this realm, they have snatched the market share from the likes of Intel and other chip makers.
That's crazy. I'll tell you what, man, and my 20 plus years being involved in IT, tech, cyber, I never thought I would hear those words. What you just said, that AMD just overtook Intel. I never thought in a million years I would ever hear those words. It was kind of because when I used to build PCs, it was literally all about the Pentiums.
No, you're
Intels,
right.
No, yeah, that's I guess that just goes to show how I don't want to say how volatile the market is, any market, right? Even if we're talking about the data center market, definitely that's been in at least our news, right? The last pieces of content we pushed out were all somehow related to data centers, right?
Yeah, and gosh, that's important now. Like a lot of the uninitiated, as a lot of the stuff plays out without folks really knowing, it really makes sense when you're in in our business. It makes sense that data centers are going to pop up. There are various types of data centers, right? And so one of the more important types of data centers is called a hyperscale.
The
A hyperscale data center.
Okay.
And coincidentally, your big names, your Google, your Amazons, they occupy over half of the hyperscale data centers. And that makes sense because look at the services that they provide. YouTube.
Yeah.
Right? What's on YouTube?
Everything.
Videos.
Everything's on YouTube.
Videos take a lot of space.
Yeah. And I consume a lot of that because I'm a YouTube junkie. So
Amazon Web Services,
Yup.
right? So the reason why these data centers are important is because of the services they provide.
Yeah.
You and I, customers,
Yeah.
right?
Yup.
Let's throw in Apple, right? iTunes Music.
It's the cloud.
It's the cloud, right? So when we think of the cloud, you're really thinking data centers in the actual raw data that it houses and the actual horsepower or the CPU, the chips.
That's good.
That service a lot of these different types of servers that provide the services like web hosting, different types of applications and whatnot. So
Okay. Huh.
yes.
Good point. Good point. See, that's why we pulled in the big guns, JJ. Again, he's our data center specialist. I never got into the data center. I mean, I've worked in them, but I was from a different capacity, right? No, that's amazing. I mean, and you bring up a good point, right? When I think Amazon, of course, you think Amazon Prime.
Yes.
I have it, right? And recently, there's another article that just came out. I was reading a few days ago how Amazon went from they changed the plan to where their unlimited music is now included with Amazon Prime. And this was just within the last couple of weeks. Before that, you had to pay a subscription fee for the unlimited music. But that music, to your point, is data, right?
Yes.
So that's that footprint that you were just talking about. I'm thinking with their AWS services, I would imagine they're using their own, right? To house a lot of that streaming music, the movies.
Yes.
I'm a huge fan of The Boys on Amazon Prime.
Love that. Yes.
So, and I always just throw out just day-to-day stuff that we use. I know that's what I use. If we're talking AWS, if we're talking Google, again, like I said, I'm a YouTube junkie. And there's some other apps. There's this, I mean, the G Suite, even the personal one has a lot of apps on there that you can just use. That's definitely relevant to day-to-day life that I think a lot of people take for granted.
Yeah, and so when I was doing a little bit of research for this article, I came across another article, and it was relatively about 1 year ago. I was like, wow, what are the chances? The article was about how Meta, which is Facebook's parent company, Meta struck a deal with AMD to power their servers in all of Meta's data centers. And I'm like, wow, like how coincidental is that piece? And that was November of last year. The article
and
was written. And a year later, here we go. It's probably because of deals like that. Here we are a year later. AMD's grabbing a little bit more of the market share. And so it just kind of goes to show you that if a giant, right, a household name like Meta, Facebook, Instagram,
Yep.
WhatsApp, right, these are all the subsidiaries of Meta.
Yeah.
And when you look at their data centers, all of these applications or services are running in their data centers.
Touche.
And powered by
Touche.
AMD chips,
Huh.
right? So I found that extremely interesting and hitting more closer to home. I want to believe about 6 months ago, right up the road, probably about 2 hours north of here, in a town called Temple, Texas. Right?
Temple, Texas.
It was reported that Meta broke ground on a 900,000 square foot data center.
What?
And I mean, obviously, AMD processors will be used to power, the equipment that's sitting there. But the reason why that I feel like that's relevant is because when you dig into some of the key words and statements from officials from Meta, they said that part of the reason why they chose that area was renewable energy, infrastructure, and the talent pool.
Okay.
The talent pool. And obviously, in workforce development, that perks our ears up.
Of course. I got excited when you said that.
And so it begs the question, how does a region or an area like that come to have that talent pool?
Good point. 'Cause I've never even heard of Temple, Texas. So, good point.
It's in and around Killeen. Like I believe
okay,
right, yeah,
awesome.
Like,
I'm working on becoming a fully certified Texan, y'all. So I'm still learning. No, yeah, good point. So my I can't help my knee jerk reaction is you got to develop them. That's what I will always. That would be my answer to a question like that, right?
Absolutely.
How do you get that talent pool, that pipeline that you need to support that, right? You said what, 900,000?
900,000 square foot data center, huge, right? Huge. 800 million is what they're pumping into the data center.
800 million.
800 million, right?
There was a wise prophet by the name of Lil Wayne that said a milli. You're talking about 800 of those.
800 million.
Oh, wow.
And so that alone, like I said, it perked my ears up.
Yeah.
And how we're developing the talent here.
Mm-hmm.
Right?
Yeah.
And you got to start with the fundamentals, right? To learn about, AMD processors.
Okay.
And to learn about just the minor thing like heat sinks.
Heat sinks,
right?
Yep.
You learn that in the fundamentals. So
yeah. So I'm picking up, right? You talking about that, the fundamentals. I'm going back to when I was in my fundamental class, right? Heat sinks. So now I'm think you made me take a blast of the past. Fast forward it. Now I'm looking at the economics of it all.
Yes.
So now, okay, what about those companies that provide the heat sinks, the actual motherboards, right?
Yes.
How many different companies are involved in a project like this, right?
Yes.
And because I'm always looking, okay, how many companies involved, and then how many opportunities open up for the workforce with those companies?
Right.
You get what I'm saying? Like
yes.
the ripple effect.
Yes. Obviously, I believe I read that just the construction alone was going to provide around 1,500 jobs just for the construction side.
Yeah.
And the permanent positions you're looking at well over 100 permanent positions for the data center.
Nice.
And
nice.
So again, they have to pluck from that local talent pool.
Yep.
But obviously it takes learning those fundamentals.
Oh yeah.
Developing those individuals who have come through the entry level to get their skills up to be able to be in a position where an economic development board there sought out in partnership with Meta and brought that data center there.
I see what you did there. Hey, kudos to that team out there. That economic development team that brought them in.
Yes.
And they've been killing it here in Texas. One thing that I picked up on just within the last couple of years is just the amount of real estate that's available. I know I had a conversation with the young lady that's on the economic development team for Cameron County.
Okay.
Because Boca Chica falls under Cameron County. And who's in Boca Chica? SpaceX. That's what SpaceX is, right? And then she was sharing with me out in the workforce conference last year that one of the selling points to Elon Musk was just the amount of real estate they had available to build. So yeah, these economic development teams are killing it. But back to your point, I believe it's the onus is on the whole ecosystem, right? Everyone involved within the workforce development process, if you will. The economic development teams, kudos to them. They're bringing them in, right?
Yep.
Now I'm thinking, okay, now what's the workforce development boards doing to work with their vocational training providers, their community colleges? I don't know if there's any universities in that area. The whole system, right? How open are the current employers that have like maybe those tier 1, tier 2 pipelines that can be upskilled to support the more advanced positions they need at the data centers? What is that entry level pipeline looking like to start bringing those people in at those levels so they can start their journeys to get the skills to level up, et cetera, right?
Yeah, it's a clear example that if the talent pool is taught at that entry level, developed, then you have a different set of components that are in play with your workforce board, your economic development board, and how they play. They should be in lockstep.
Definitely.
I say in a perfect world should be. They should really be tight knit when it comes to things like that. So that way you're attracting those big companies, which then is a boon for your city. Helping because it's probably going to bring in some tax revenues and so on and so forth. There are always those second and third order effects, different streams of money that's going to help that local economy. So it all plays a part, and but it all has to start somewhere.
It has to start somewhere,
right? And so, and again, it just is amazing at how we took an article. Just like this to really explain the importance because people may not be thinking the way we think, but it's important to bring it to the forefront.
Yeah, of course. To
really explain how something like this can be really important.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
To a city, to an area, creating jobs, helping individuals.
Yeah.
Right.
And that's the beautiful thing about capitalism, right? It's this healthy competition, right? We started out talking about how AMD just kind of snatched the market share from Intel, right? That type of healthy competition, I think has a side effect of everything you just talked about.
Yes.
Creating these different jobs in all these different industries because you were talking about the fundamentals, foundations, right?
Yep.
I'm thinking the foundation that has to be poured to support that infrastructure, right? That center, right? Just like the ones anybody aspiring who wants to get into the IT, cybersecurity game, data game, same thing. They need to pour that foundation within themselves to get a solid understanding of just the fundamentals, right? And understand if you're living in the area in Temple or surrounding Temple, opportunities are coming. I'm not too savvy on that area what they have now, but damn it, that's about to be something coming up that the time is now to get ready.
I mean, you're absolutely right, because sometimes all it takes is that one company, and then the floodgates open, right?
Yeah.
Because other people, in a lot of industries, they always say it's a copycat, like in the NFL, they always say it's a copycat league. So that may open the door for other entities to come to that area. And all of a sudden, now you have a growth, right? And now what does that create? More restaurants, more subdivisions, right? Probably more schools to
School, yeah,
You know,
yeah,
again,
yeah.
the trickle down effect is tremendous.
Maybe an expansion of community colleges to
Community
help
colleges.
build that workforce.
Absolutely.
Good point. Good point. Entertainment venues.
Yes.
To
You name it.
Yeah.
You know, yeah.
It's bringing a lot of growth.
Yes.
No, and that's happening all around Texas. I'll tell you what. Another wise prophet by the name of Tupac said, "All eyes on me." And I would say that there's all eyes on Texas right now,
Yes.
just in general. There's the stuff that's going on in the Panhandle, all over Texas, down south, Cameron County, Temple, Austin, of course. I don't even have to say what's going. It's Austin, right?
Yeah.
But I've heard talks of people were saying that San Antonio may be the new Austin. Yeah.
There's a lot of there's a lot of different ideas being tossed around. You know, San Antonio being the new Austin. I've heard that the San Antonio Austin corridor is going to be the next Dallas Fort Worth, right? Which are side by side, but everybody thinks that Fort Worth is Dallas. So it's all married together.
Yeah.
And so before you know it, San Antonio and Austin probably will be a giant metroplex of some sort.
But like, are you guys married? Nah, but we go together.
Right.
We go together.
Yes.
No, yeah, it's that's very interesting. No, yeah, definitely signs that the opportunities are coming, especially in that area. I've been to Killeen, because I've been to Fort Hood.
Yep.
It wasn't really nothing to write home about, but maybe eventually it will.
Yeah, it definitely could.
Yeah. Oh, and that just sparked something in my brain. So now, because us being veterans, vets in tech, right, and we're very hands-on with the local veteran community, and we help vets who want to get into IT. If they didn't do that, if that wasn't their MOS or AFSC, right, we have a lot of experience helping vets get into the IT game. Mm-hmm. And now that I mentioned Fort Hood, opportunities for those
exactly
service members that are transitioning out and want to get into IT. That just clicked. I'm like, wait a minute, that's good news for them too.
Yes.
No, that's awesome.
Yes,
that is awesome. But again, in any if a soldier from that area just so happens to be watching this, make sure you use your benefits, get some certs, start practicing, build your labs, get those foundations down packed.
Yes.
Don't come out looking for a handout or any silver bullets, man. Because these opportunities are here. But unfortunately, we've seen this, right? People just want them to be handed to them. And AMD wasn't given this market share that they took from Intel. They had to hustle and they had to take it. So for those that do want to, take advantage of these type of opportunities, be ready to make yourself valuable. So you can go out there and take it, because these opportunities won't be handed to you. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah. America is dubbed the land of the free, and so it being, in the United States, that's why people come for the opportunities.
Yeah.
And so the opportunities are there.
They're there.
It's just a matter of what you're willing to do to put in the work to grab a hold of those opportunities. Because they're just not gonna hit you over the head. They're just not.
Nope.
So it fortunes those who are assertive, and put their best foot forward.
And to add to what you said, is some of it, I think, what are you willing to do for it? The other part is, what are you willing to sacrifice?
Yeah.
What are you willing to sacrifice? That's what I've seen, to where when it comes down to making certain sacrifices, that's when I see people freeze. Like, oh, you ain't really want it like that, did you?
Yeah. Definitely sacrifice comes in different forms, but even if that means you're getting 2 less hours of sleep,
do what you got to do.
You got to do what you got to do.
Do what you got to do.
So,
and we're seeing that now. Just if we're talking data center technology, right? To date, with everything going on with Elon Musk and his takeover of Twitter, his message has been very clear. I want people that want to grind, right? He wants to see a return on his investment. So he's like telling, hey man, you got to work. And I mean, they say the speed of a team is the speed of its leader, right? we see Elon Musk's speed, right? In any organization like Meta that's going into like Temple to build these centers, we know how Mark Zuckerberg moves, right? That speed. He wants people. You may not be at his skill set, but they're looking for people with the will. The will to, hey, I'll teach you. Hey, go get the fundamentals. Well, of course, no matter where you go, you got to learn the culture and how they do business specifically there.
Yes.
But you got to come with that will.
Yeah, that was probably a big jolt to the individuals that that were a part of Twitter. He brings his style of leadership and work ethic, and it clearly it wasn't the same formula as before.
No,
and so a lot of people are like,
Yeesh.
yes,
Yeah,
taking deep breaths and saying, "What did I get myself into?" And so, but he didn't become successful any other way.
No.
So with SpaceX and with Tesla, I would say that in a lot of lines, he knows what he's doing.
I would think so. I would think so. I mean, you're talking about a man who countries have leaned on him for support. Countries.
Yeah.
So I mean, that goes to show it's not just what you're willing to do, but what you're willing to sacrifice. I can only imagine the sacrifice that someone like him has made to reach those levels that he's reached and accomplishments he's accomplished. So just throwing that out there. Again, this is good news, I think, overall for the cyber workforce, because me, that's what I care about, that cyber workforce.
Yeah.
Again, opportunities abound. They are here. They're here. I think it's one, knowing where to look, but then preparing yourself for that and getting that solid foundation, like you said, to understand what we're even talking about. I tell you what, had I not taken the journey I went to when I crossed over from being an electrician over to IT, I was that person that was writing the cue cards and stuff like that to learn this stuff.
That's still that's honestly, that's still my go-to.
Yeah.
3x5 flashcards.
Flashcards,
Call me old school, but everybody has a different style of learning. That's one of mine too. Old school 3x5 cards. It helps me. So you definitely need to do what you need to do. You got to look at yourself sometimes in the mirror and say, what type of opportunity can I give myself today?
Ooh.
What type of opportunities can I create for myself?
Ooh.
Because sometimes you have to create them, for yourself.
Yep.
And a lot of times you're on the receiving end of opportunities just by putting yourself in good positions.
Yes.
And that's a part of it. Like sometimes you may think that there's not an opportunity coming your way, but you've done what you've needed to do to put yourself in a position to receive an opportunity.
So that reminds me, there's a wise sage we know by the name of Dr. Hall, who says positionality.
Positionality,
yes. I think this speaks to that. What type of positionality can you create for yourself? Yeah, I like that. All right, man, close us out, man.
Well, right. So obviously, we talked about a lot, but in closing, it goes to show you how being able to sit here and talk, AMD and to talk, Intel and talk business, it all starts from somewhere. I started learning the fundamentals first, as did you, reaching out to various different aspects of the cybersecurity field, and aggregating all of this information to where we are today. And so it's not an overnight success, definitely not. And it's all those things that we just talked about: sacrifice, putting the hard work in, creating opportunities, attempting to create opportunities for yourself. So just like, you and I did doing our research and our homework here, I would implore individuals to, at various stages that they are in their cybersecurity journey, don't stop putting that work in.
Don't stop putting. Ooh, words of the.
Don't
I
stop.
like that. I
Don't
like
stop.
that. Now I'm gonna start using that. I'm gonna start quoting you. Hey, there's a wise man by the name of JJ that once said, "Stop. Don't stop putting that work in."
Yeah.
So
never
no,
stop.
that's good. That's good. So that is the message we're leaving you with. Don't stop putting that work in. And anyone who benefits from this information that we're sharing, this discussion that we just had, cheers to your success.